Welcome back to Crash Talk Fantasy Sports, episode 6, I believe. I'm your host, Ben Lynch, and I'm here with
Jarett Acme
and AJ Lawley.
And let's get right into it. So, players of the week, who wants to go first? Raise your hand.
I'll go first. Jackson Smith and Jigba dropped 37 fantasy points this week. Against the Rams, he had 7 receptions for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I think he did really good, but they did end up losing that game.
I think my player, Sneak This player, who, I was hating on a few weeks ago for putting up 0 for me against the Saints. Cortland Sutton had 27 points yesterday. Part of that because of a pass touchdown that he threw. He threw a tutty to Bo Nix, 2 yards, but he also had 7 receptions on 122 yards to go along with that, 10 targets. So I guess he's finally seeing some targets from Bo Nix, finally seeing some work over in that Denver offense. I think that's pretty cool.
My player of the week is going to be Garrett Wilson. I sat him this week because I thought Tank Dell was going to do way better than him, but shouldn't have done that. He had 9 receptions with 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 10 targets with a pretty good week, dropping 25 points.
I think someone we also have to talk about right now there are a few people on my mind. Joe Burrow, 5 touchdowns again, dropped 46 points. Devon Achane had 32 points off 12 rush attempts for 63 yards and a touchdown. Receiving game, he also had 8 receptions for 58 yards and a touchdown off 8 targets. Pretty good day for him. And then Saquon Barkley. What was that, dude? Did you see him reverse hurdle that guy?
Yeah, I did. That was super cool.
Was that the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life? My disappointment for the week has to be Puka Nacua, who honestly he was on track for a pretty good game. He already had 4 targets going into it, and then he decided to throw hands with some random player from who did the Rams play again?
Seattle.
Yeah, he's decided to throw hands with some random Seattle player and just mean right hook straight to the head and kind of ruin his day for fantasy owners. So that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he should have gotten ejected for that because he didn't really punch the guy. He just kind of smacked him
That's still he punched him.
Yeah, but the other guy pushed him first. I'm just saying that's what happened.
I mean, I guess. I think another disappointment that we can do is Michael Pittman Jr. had 2 points. 2.4 points off 1 reception for 14 yards. That's extremely disappointing. I mean, Joe Flacco just could not get it done against the Vikings.
Yeah. My disappointment of the week is Kyler Murray had a pretty bad game with only 150 passing yards, 2 rushing attempts with 6 rushing yards, and a fumble lost. But they did ultimately end up winning against the Bears.
My disappointment of the week is going to DJ Moore, who dropped 7 points against the Cardinals. The Bears as a team dropped 9 points, while the Cardinals dropped 29. And that really goes to show how the Bears have just been absolutely terrible recently. Also, he had 4 receptions for 33 yards. And something about DJ Moore, he's been on a steady decline.
Let's move on to sits and starts for next week. Big news for fantasy owners who have him on their injured reserve like me. Nico Collins will hopefully be back week 10. The Texans head coach said that he will continue to be evaluated throughout the week. There's a lot of hope that they come back for a game against the Lions. I think he can do it. He's already up to 20 miles an hour in practices and training. So we'll see where he is. Hopefully he comes back. I need him.
Yeah, also McCaffrey is scheduled to come back this week, I believe.
No, if he does, it's like week 11. Another big ticket item for next week is my boy George Pickens. George Pickens should have dropped a 30 bomb against the Giants. Unfortunately, he had a 1 touchdown called back due to a face mask, 1 due to a stupid rule that shouldn't even exist. I mean,
I think that 1 foot should count.
If that's
that should
way harder than just getting both feet down. If you can double up your right foot, then yes. Especially like Garrett Wilson's catch, if that counts just because he got his knee down, then George Pickens' catch should count.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's going up against the Washington Commanders next week, which that's going to be a great game. A little shootout. Russell Wilson v. Jaden Daniels. I'm excited to see that.
A player that I think you should start this week if you have him on your team is Ramondre Stevenson. 50% of people have him starting. And if you're part of that 50 that doesn't, I think you should start him because they're going against the Bears next week. And he was coming off of a 22-point fantasy game, which is pretty good. He had 10 attempts for 16 rushing yards, but he also had a rushing touchdown. And then he also caught a touchdown.
All right, let's get on to ads and drops. Who do we like and who do we not like? Jarett?
Someone that I think you should drop, and if he was ever on your team at one point, you should never have him on your team ever again. Dak Prescott, he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, and he's just horrible. He's the worst quarterback in the NFL right now, besides maybe Daniel Jones.
Okay, so Amari DeMercado off the Arizona Cardinals, number 31. He's a running back. Honestly, he's only had 13 offensive snaps over the last 2 weeks. And against the Bears defense, who's got a really good defense pretty much all the time. The Bears are always solid on the defensive end of the ball. He rushed 4 times for 59 yards and a touchdown and caught 2 targets for 21 yards. I think with James Conner getting older, this guy really has a chance to bust out and show off his stuff.
One player I think you should drop if you still have him on your team is Isaiah Likely. He had one good game against the Chiefs in the week 1, and ever since then he's been absolutely terrible. 50% of people still have him on their roster. I think that you should drop him if you're a part of that 50.
Let's go to our final segment, hot takes. All right. Who wants to go first? AJ?
My hot take is if you have Marvin Harrison on your team, I think that you should probably try to find a better player to trade for. He's really inconsistent, and he'll have like on and off weeks, but in the long run, I don't think he's going to get any more better in terms of fantasy points, and I think you should try to trade him for a better player.
I think the offense over there isn't built around Marvin Harrison, and with like a player with that much skill, that's kind of what you have to do. You have to give him a lot of looks, and I just think until the Cardinals get a new offensive coordinator, he's not going to be as good as he can be. My hot take is that Deontay Johnson will finish as a top 15 receiver in the league after moving to the Baltimore Ravens.
I think that's actually it's reasonable because even when he was on the Panthers, he was a really good wide receiver and he was actually dropping decent fantasy points. And even now with Lamar as his quarterback, he's going to get like a lot of targets. And as a good team, they're going to be using most of their attention towards their running back like Derrick Henry, as well as Lamar Jackson because he's a threat on the floor too. Coverage deep is not going to be that good.
Yeah, I really think if you can put up those kind of numbers with a brigade of Bryce Young and Andy Dalton throwing to you,
yeah.
I think once you go to a possible MVP candidate like Lamar Jackson, his floor, his ceiling is so large. Like he could instantly blow up. And I think people are worried about Zay Flowers. People are worried about Zay Flowers, but the thing you have to think about is Zay is the best wide receiver on that team right now. Yeah. He's going to be drawing the coverage. He's going to be drawing the corner's eyes. And Deontay Johnson can maybe just sneak in there. And even if Zay Flowers still puts up more, I mean, he can't do it all on his own. Deontay Johnson will still get looks. So I think it's not crazy to say that he'll be a top 15 receiver by the end of the year.
My hot take of the week is that Sam Darnold finishes top 5 this year with fantasy points scored. He has great weapons on his offense with Justin Jefferson and TJ Hopkinson.
It's not Hopkinson.
Hawkinson. Okay, that's fine.
Thank you for joining us for Week 6 of Crash Talk Fantasy Football, and we'll see you next week.